Good morning, afternoon, or evening. I go by the name of Solo. Welcome back to Solo Driven. Now we're making tons of progress on the Hades Cobra, but there are some things that I need to incorporate with this build. When you're doing these type of builds, you want to add gauges to help you keep up and monitor all these different type of things that you have added to the stress of the motor. One of them being the air-fuel ratio. That's a very important, also known as the wideband. That is a super important gauge that you want to make sure that you have. Now, the most accurate one that we found was the Ballinger, I don't know how to pronounce it. So that is the one that I'm gonna go with on this car. Now, it's not a typical AFR gauge, you know, wideband, which is a circular gauge. This one is a square one. Since it is pretty much the most accurate one that you can get, that's what I want to roll with. We want to have nothing but the best on this car. I saw a couple ideas where they have it mounted on the side, this, that, and the other. Those are cool, but I was like, you know what? Let's do something different. Let's try and incorporate it into the AC system. Now, I've kind of taken this car, let's step in here real quick, apart a little bit, but just so you get the idea, this is where the AC vents go. Now, I thought it would be cool to have the gauge right here and also block it off with a plate. That way I can monitor everything within my range of view and not have to worry about, you know, kind of taking my focus off of the road. So I thought that having it right here would look pretty cool. When you take the face off, this is what you're left with. And I'm thinking to put the wideband in here and block it off with a nice plate. Now, of course, that will have to be custom. So we're gonna have to head over to our local home improvement store and see if we can gather up some materials to try and make this happen. So of course I've taken everything apart because I was trying to see if it makes sense in my mind, what kind of designs we will go with. So right now the most important part is trying to find the material. So who knows if that will be available or not. So without further ado, let's head on.
If you let me put it
Alright, this is pretty good. This is pretty sturdy, bendable. So I think really this is all that we're gonna need to complete this project as far as the gauge is concerned, covering up the vent there. Now, I'll show y'all once we get home what I'm gonna do to keep the gauge pod and the gauge actually in place. This is coming very soon to the garage. QuietTech air compressor. I'm a big Cobalt fan. This is coming very soon. Pretty affordable too for a 26 gallon. Not bad.
when we get home if you let me put it.
Alright guys, so here's the plan. We're gonna take our AC vent here and just kind of trace along right here where the AC vent will no longer be. And also cut out the part where the gauge is gonna be. Like I said, we're gonna trace this on here, this opening, cut it out with our handy Dremel. Of course, we got some gloves and safety glasses. So let's try it out, see how that goes. Just enough to make a couple adjustments if need be.
Caution. Compton's hot. You got to give. Make all you got.
Alright, so here is the finished product. Of course, we got some rugged edges here. We're going to go over it with some sandpaper. Kind of clean this up a bit just to make it nice and smooth. We'll kind of mess with it, go on to the next step after this. Before we do the sanding, I'm gonna throw some tape on here just so we don't scratch the surface. We'll be able to, you know, keep that brushed aluminum look. Even though we're gonna paint this, I don't want no extra scratches. Alright guys, here's our plate. Let's do a mock-up real quick. Bam. This is gonna fit on there pretty, of course it's gonna fit a little bit more higher with the shape, but you know, I got it on this table. But this is gonna fit perfectly on here. I'm pretty happy with how it came out. The shape using the Dremel worked out really good. I sanded down the edges finally with this, kind of straightened everything, leveled everything out, and then I hit it with some sandpaper. Now all that's left to really do is just cut out the piece right here where the gauge will go. I want to do the middle part here. Maybe I'll think of a bracket that I can put behind here that'll hold it up. Kind of thinking about that. I'm sure by the end of this video I'll have decided what I'm gonna do, and if not, I still have extra metal to mess around with a different version. But my original idea is to cut out a piece right here, that way the gauge will go right there, and then we lay the carbon fiber overlay over this. This will be getting painted black. I think it's gonna look really good. Let's go ahead and get some double-sided tape, mock everything up. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the hole for the gauge right now, and then we can paint it and assemble everything back together. So without further ado, let's get to work. Alright, so this is what I've kind of come up with so far. This looks silly, but I think it's gonna work. I put a piece of foam in there, and I'm thinking of wedging the gauge in here and kind of sealing everything up with double-sided tape. I try to avoid drilling holes unless absolutely necessary. So this is kind of like my idea to avoid having to drill holes. It's gonna be all covered up anyways. It's gonna kind of keep everything nice and cushioned up in here. I think this is gonna work. This is super cheap. I mean, you can get foam for free anywhere, and it's cost effective. I don't have to go into, you know, making some type of bracket. That would have required like a bit of thinking and of course more money. So let's mess around with this, kind of wedge the gauge in there and see if we can make this happen. Voila. Bro, that is gonna look so good once everything is buttoned down. One more final touch. Man, I think it looks absolutely incredible, especially since I've never worked with metal like that before. Not bad for a custom like gauge pod for the new AFR. Y'all gotta let me know what you think in the comment section below of the new gauge pod. Now, I'm not gonna connect it right now. We'll connect it when we install the supercharger and we're getting ready to tune it, which is very, very, very close to being done. But anyways guys, that's gonna end today's video. Make sure to subscribe for weekly content, and to help my channel grow, smash that like button to support. And remember, be motivated, stay driven.